Henry James, The Portrait of a Lady. Embark on a journey through the intricate tapestry of human emotions and societal pressures with The Portrait of a Lady by Henry James. This summary invites you into the world of Isabel Archer, a spirited American woman navigating the complexities of independence, choice, and consequence. Set against the backdrop of Europe in the late 19th century, Isabel's story unfolds with vivid depictions of cultural collisions between the New World and the Old. Key themes such as freedom versus social constraints, the weight of wealth, and the interplay of love and autonomy are woven seamlessly throughout. Prepare to delve into the psychological depth and moral dilemmas that James masterfully explores, as Isabel grapples with her desires and decisions in a society bound by tradition and expectations. Whether she is celebrated or constrained, Isabel's journey will resonate with anyone who values the pursuit of self-discovery and agency in the face of life's challenging choices.
Independent spirit. Picture a sun-drenched afternoon, where the flickering reflections of the River Thames dance upon the manicured lawns of Garden Court, a house steeped in history. Built in the 1540s and having endured the ravages of the English Civil War, it now belongs to Mr. Touchet, a savvy American banker. This afternoon, Mr. Touchet shares tea with his son Ralph and Lord Warburton, an English aristocrat. Their genteel gathering is enlivened by the entrance of Isabel Archer, a striking young American with a resolute gaze that promises she is a force to be reckoned with. Isabel's life thus far has been as bleak as the New England winters she's left behind. Her eagerly protective aunt, Mrs. Touchet, saw the urgency in rescuing her sharp-witted but isolated niece from a life of dusty novels and boredom. Isabel's recent departure to Europe aims to broaden her horizons and perhaps find a suitable match. Yet, despite external appearances, Isabel harbors distinct American ideals, prizing her independence and intellect over wealth or social prestige. To her, monetary constraints can be as suffocating as affluence, as what she truly values is the freedom of thought and possibility. Now, amid the curiosity of English customs and the allure of new experiences, Isabel faces two distinct challenges to her independence. Caspar Goodwood, a determined young American businessman, follows her across the Atlantic with expectations of marriage. Yet Isabel finds no joy in the prospect, preferring her autonomy over societal conventions, bluntly dismissing his affections. Lord Warburton presents another challenge. With titles, riches, and a genuine affection for Isabel, he embodies what many would see as the perfect match for a penniless young woman like her. Mrs. Touchet certainly believes so, urging her niece towards matrimony. For a moment, the temptations of comfort and security whisper to Isabel. However, her spirit of exploration is too strong. She respects Warburton yet cannot subordinate herself in a partnership that might tether her burgeoning independence. In her finely penned letter to him, Isabel emphasizes the ineffable nature of her decision, a matter best left undisturbed. Henry James intricately layers his characters with psychological nuance, crafting them as both individuals and symbols. By turning away from Goodwood, Isabel dismisses the brash ambition emblematic of America. With Warburton, she declines the old world's prestigious yet confining traditions. Isabel stands as a blank slate, all potential and promise, lured by the charm of deep roots but ultimately finding them stifling. With choices made, Isabel embarks on a path defined by her terms, an odyssey toward self-discovery and defiance of societal norms. James portrays her journey as one of unyielding courage in the face of expectations, a declaration of independence not just in colonial terms, but of spirit. In her decision, Isabel opens a world of possibility, ready to embrace the challenges and triumphs of a life authentically her own. The paradox of freedom. The narrative unfolds in the lavish Garden Court, introducing the pivotal moment of Mr. Touchet's impending death. His son, Ralph, nurtures an unspoken love for his cousin, Isabel, yet holds back, knowing their familial ties and his own frail health make such feelings futile. In a pivotal act emerged not from romantic hope but from profound affection, Ralph proposes giving half of his inheritable fortune to Isabel. His father, initially hesitant, is swayed by Ralph's conviction that money will allow Isabel to fulfill her dreams without restraint. Mr. Touchette agrees, marking his final earthly decision. Fast forward 3 months, we find Isabel grappling with her newfound wealth in a splendid hotel in San Remo, Italy. The surprise of inheriting $10 million from Mr. Touchette unsettles her. Ralph, withholding his deeper motives, reassures her. He insists that wealth offers freedom, advising her to embrace it lightly and allow her character to shape naturally through her choices. Most experiences are beneficial, he suggests, with few exceptions. While Ralph envisions his gesture as a liberation for Isabel, an opportunity to explore life's myriad possibilities unencumbered, it leads to an inner dilemma. Isabel acknowledges that with great fortune comes significant responsibility. The fear of squandering her opportunities weighs heavily on her. Yet, her philosophical struggle intensifies. If all paths are open, how does one distinguish between them? Meanwhile, back in Florence, Madame Merle engages in a revealing conversation with Miss Touchette. Commenting on Isabel's fortune, Madame Merle wryly notes Isabel's ease in obtaining such wealth. She finds amusement in Isabel's uncertainty, highlighting the paradoxical nature of freedom bestowed by wealth. For it's not simply about possessing the means but discerning what to truly do with it. Through this financial freedom, Ralph unknowingly places Isabel at a crossroads, a life experiment where choices define meaning. He believes most ventures are safe and beneficial. Yet ironically, despite good intentions, his gift sets the stage for complications. Isabel's journey becomes contemplative. In a life devoid of external constraints, the real challenge emerges, choosing and consequently, finding purpose in every decision she makes. Trapped by deceit. With determination, Isabel chooses to embrace her fortune as a gateway to adventure, taking Ralph's advice to explore the world. Her journey through Greece, Turkey, and Egypt eventually leads her to Rome, setting the stage for a cleverly orchestrated trap by Madame Merle. While Isabel travels, back in Tuscany, we meet Madame Merle at her villa outside Florence. She converses with an American art collector, Gilbert Osmond, whose sharp intellect and charm mask a void of ambition and social standing. Osmond, a narcissist, desires recognition and is notably callous towards his daughter, Pansy, treating her as little more than a possession. Madame Merle sees his potential, chiding his complacency and presenting him with an opportunity, a wealthy and intelligent American, Isabel. She assures Osmond that Isabel's fortune could greatly benefit him. Madame Merle's scheme is successful. Osmond captivates Isabel, leading to their engagement. Mrs. Touchette disapproves, dismissing Osmond as an obscure American with no steady income, a poor match when compared to suitors like Lord Warburton. Yet Isabel admires Osmond's intellect, independence, and disregard for social norms. Her affection leads her to offer him part of her own wealth. Ralph is dismayed by this union. He realizes the fortune he helped secure for Isabel has now made her a target for such opportunists as Osmond. Isabel dismisses Ralph's concerns, interpreting them as jealousy. In her eyes, Ralph is just another unwelcome suitor warning her against a man they perceive as a threat to imprison her liberty. Ralph's love for Isabel brings a tragic irony to the situation. His concerns, although justified, are mixed with a desire to protect and preserve Isabel's independence, a quality he cherishes most in her. However, his approach inadvertently objectifies her, casting him in the same manipulative light as Osmond. This undermines Ralph's intentions, overshadowing the real threat, the scheming Osmond embodies. Oblivious to Osmond's plots, Isabel's perception of Ralph's betrayal blinds her to the looming danger. Her independence, so fiercely guarded, becomes the very veil that obscures the web closing around her. The real tragedy is not only her misjudgment of Ralph but also her unwitting entrapment in Osmond's deceitful ambitions. Choices and consequences. In a world where choices intertwine with destiny, Isabel finds herself trapped in the confining walls of an unhappy marriage. Her husband, Osmond, who once seemed charming, quickly showed his true colors after acquiring his wife's wealth. With his newfound status, he became domineering, demanding absolute obedience, and stripped Isabel of her freedom. Yet, despite her husband's tyranny, Isabel held firm to her convictions, to be a devoted wife and a caring stepmother to Osmond's daughter, Pansy. As Pansy turns 18, an art dealer named Mr. Rogier falls for her, igniting a complicated scenario. While Pansy loves Rogier, her father dismisses the idea due to Rogier's lack of wealth, aiming instead to secure a more advantageous match. Enter Lord Warburton, who, though still enamored with Isabel, pretends to court Pansy as a pretext to stay in Rome. Osmond senses his chance, urging Isabel to play along with the plan, hoping Warburton's love for Isabel will push him to propose to Pansy. Isabel complies but wrestles with her conscience and eventually helps Warburton see the truth by introducing him to Rogier, acknowledging Pansy's true affections. In a twist of fate at a ball, Isabel's bold move compels Warburton to confess his lack of feelings for Pansy. He promptly leaves Rome, leaving Osmond furious and accusing Isabel of betraying him. The fallout is explosive, especially when Madame Merle, a supposedly close friend, reveals a vested interest in Pansy's matrimonial prospects. Isabel uncovers the shocking truth: Madame Merle is Osmond's lover. These revelations bring to light the stark interplay of free will and determinism, themes Henry James intricately weaves throughout the narrative. Isabel's Puritan background impresses upon her a deep sense of personal responsibility for her choices. Although marrying Osmond was an exercise of her free will, that decision was inevitably molded by cultural and societal expectations. This moral burden, James argues, mirrors the burdensome rigidity of New England Puritanism, a worldview that, while fostering strong moral character, often leads to unnecessary suffering. Isabel's struggles highlight the tension between her individual choices and the societal forces that shape them, poignantly illustrating the constraints that bind personal freedom. The dual faces of love. In the closing chapters of our narrative, the atmosphere grows somber as troubling news once again reaches Italy from Garden Court, this time with Ralph on his deathbed, pleading for Isabel's presence in England. Isabel resolves to visit, armed with newfound truths about Osmond, Madame Merle, and Pansy. Osmond's claim, that Pansy was born to his first wife, is unmasked. She is actually the result of an affair with Madame Merle. Following the death of Osmond's wife, this falsehood was constructed, and Pansy was raised in a convent by nuns, believing herself to be Osmond's legitimate child. In England, further revelations ensue. Ralph, in his dying moments, confides that he persuaded his father to bestow half his estate upon Isabel, imploring her to escape her manipulative husband and remain in England. Despite his desperate appeal, Isabel is pulled back to Rome, not solely by her marital commitments but by her solemn vow to return to Pansy. At Ralph's funeral, Caspar Goodwood also attempts to sway Isabel from Osmond's hold, feeling hopeful when they part ways. Yet the following day, Isabel vanishes, a visit to a London friend revealing she has already departed for Rome. Critically seen as a reversal of Austen's Pride and Prejudice, where dislike matures into love, Isabel's journey with Gilbert Osmond begins with interest and admiration, only to uncover the true nature of his monstrous character. Osmond's layers of apparent sophistication and cultured demeanor are stripped away, revealing a heart cold, egotistical, and morally obtuse. However, Henry James offers more than a tale of mere deception. He delves into the psychology behind decisions, drawing out nuances in human motivation and desire. Isabel's marriage to Osmond wasn't just an error in judgment, it was driven by her yearnings, to widen her experience and devote herself and her resources to someone she loved. Despite the emotional toll, Osmond initially satisfied these deep-seated needs within Isabel, shedding light on the complexity of personal choices and the often unforeseen consequences of fulfilling one's desires.
As The Portrait of a Lady concludes, we are left to ponder the complexities of human choice and the often hidden strings that determine our fate. Isabel Archer's journey is a poignant exploration of freedom and self-determination, underscored by the realization that the choices we make are inexorably linked to cultural and personal influences. James reveals the intricate dance between autonomy and societal expectations, reminding us that our decisions carry profound consequences. Isabel's experience with Gilbert Osmond illustrates the perils of romantic idealism and the harsh realities of trust and manipulation. Yet, in her return to Rome, we see a woman striving to reconcile her own moral compass with the responsibilities that bind her, even amid personal disillusionment. Through Isabel's voyage, readers are encouraged to reflect on the delicate balance of pursuing personal freedom while acknowledging the nuances of human connection and obligations.